Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. For this video, I will show you guys my very first ever after high repaint and repaint tutorial here on YouTube, which is Raven Queen. So here is Raven Queen, and like I said, she is my very first ever after high repaint, and as you can see, the quality is just a mess. It's so messy. I have messed up on her cheekbones. I was trying to give her a contour, but then I realized it doesn't work like that, and overall it's just kind of dirty and outdated. I want to revive her and give her a new life, so let's go ahead and take off everything. One thing I do have to say is, even though this is one of the very first dolls that I've repainted, taking off the face paint is still a little harder to do. I guess when you mix MSC and paint and pencils and all that, it just really sticks to the face, which is really good for long-term purposes. And as always, I am using acetone, but you could always use nail polish remover. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and spray her face with MSC or Mr. Super Clear. As you can see over here, I am using a light brown watercolor pencil, just so that it's easier for me to erase whenever I make mistakes, and I always make mistakes. So using a light color, it doesn't have to be brown, you can use yellow. I've used yellow before, or really like light pink. And so whenever you make mistakes, it's easier to take off and it doesn't really show. So I actually wanted to kind of stay true to her original face that I gave her, which is just a very bold wing, and her eyelashes is just really full. And with the same exact eyeshadow. The only thing I didn't do, I think, is the glitter. But I wanted to keep a similar vibe and look for her eyes, just so that when I compare it, I can see the growth that I have done over time, and also the different techniques that I have made. I still gave her a cut crease because that is what I gave Raven before, and it's still my very favorite look to do on my dolls. I just feel like it's an easier way to make a crease and also blend makeup, and I think it's just a fun look. The expression that I gave Raven before was kind of like a confused but also worried type of expression, and a great way to actually change the expression is through the eyebrows. So I still gave her that type of expression where she's kind of concerned or confused or just kind of like wondering or sad. So yeah. I remember before, whenever I draw the pupils, it was very sketchy, so I tried doing that right now, and I think I did the whole sketchy look just to kind of emulate the whole artwork of Ever After High. I actually don't know how my technique for the eyes kind of changed, but over time it just kind of evolved into something more of a kind of clear cut now. I still kind of do sketchiness here and there, but for the most part it's a little more blended now, and it has more of a gradient to it. I'm just adding more blushes now, and nowadays I'm a little more careful whenever I add the blush, but for the first Raven Queen tutorial, it was such a mess. I did so much mistakes with blushing. I think also because of the brush that I used, it was just not the appropriate brush for blushing. I remember for that repaint, I also used pastels for her eyeshadow, so I'm just redoing that now, and I believe that I had to layer 5 times of eyeshadow so that it was really pigmented. This is the very first layer of purple, and as you can see, it's just so faint that you can't actually see it. And then over here is, I believe, third. And then I just started with a pencil just so that I can define her cut crease a little more. And I was using purple just to make it pop. I also wanted her eyebrows to be purple, so I took the same exact pencil that I used for her cut crease, and I used that all over the eyebrows. But then I want the tails of the eyebrows to be black, and I wanted the eyebrows to have a gradient effect. Thinking back, I think now that I have thought about the process of my very first Ever After High repaint, I always thought that they were such great canvases because they were a little more flatter than a Monster High. Before Raven Queen, I did repaint Cleo Denial, Frankie, and also Rochelle. And I've always thought that Rochelle Goyle was just such a hard mold to play with just because her head mold was just so structured, and overall it was just so hard to change up her look, and that's why I was really in love with Cleo Denial and also Frankie Stein's faces, because they were so easy to kind of change up and down, make them look fierce or cute or elegant and so on. Now I am adding the scleras using pencil. I will go back again with paint later, but for now I am using pencil just to kind of map out where her scleras would be, and then I will be adding her actual eye color, which I made it red. I wanted to have a contrast between the purple and her entire outfit, so I wanted red to kind of pop out. I think a major improvement that I have personally made is I'm not afraid of making mistakes anymore. Before, like I said, I was very stingy with spraying and layering Mr. Super Clear. I didn't understand that whenever you spray Mr. Super Clear, you're pretty much creating a layer and a barrier with the work that you have done. I would literally spray the face and then put pencils, spray the face, and then put the blush, and then spray the face again. Literally, there's like 4 sprays in between the face up, and now I do like up to 25. So just that alone is such a major improvement, because then I can play around and I can make mistakes and I can erase it. So I pretty much have more room to play around with creating the faces. So as you can see, I just went in with black just to give her eyes more of a pop and more of a dramatic contrast. And I also did a gradient for her eyes and her pupils just so that it blends in with her eyeliner. Just so that her eyes doesn't look as flat, I'm using pink watercolor pencil just to give it some highlight, and then I'm also going to go in with white to blend everything in. And for added detail, do not ignore the nostrils. It's a very subtle detail, but it looks really great for pictures too. I don't really use black for the nostrils just because it can look really harsh, so sometimes I use really dark brown, or as you can see over here, a mixture of red and brown. I just added lines to her lips just to give it more of a bitten look and also some realism here and there, and I also go in with light pink just to give it more highlights and definition. Now, like I said, we are going back in with white paint for the sclera, just so that it's a little more clear and crisp when it comes to the eyes. Before, I used to only use the pencil, and whenever I spray MSC, it actually kind of fades in the white color. I don't know, it only happens to white, so I go in with paint. And then for added flair, I cannot forget to give her lashes. For this doll, I'm actually going to be giving her 3D lashes for the top, and then for the bottom, it is drawn on lashes. So next up, for the last detail for the eyes, I will be adding the catch lights or the white sparkle or the reflective white lights on the eyes. And this time I made it very sketchy like my original Raven Queen repaint. Next, I'm just taking this light beige and I'm using it as a highlight for her lips, cupid's bow, and also her nose. And then to finish it up, I will be using gloss for her lips and eyes. So I actually don't put gloss on her entire eyes anymore, so I would literally only put it on the tear ducts, her waterline, and also the eye shines, and also sometimes the highlight of her nose. And now it's time for the lashes. I actually really don't like this part just because you have to be so patient and you kind of have to hold the lashes there in place and wait for the glue to kind of dry, but it does give an amazing look in the end and it is really worth it. Now we just wait for the lashes to dry, and we are pretty much done with our repainted Raven Queen. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I did. I love revisiting my older dolls to see if I can improve their look. Sometimes it's a flop and I actually like the original look better, but for this case, I do love my new Raven Queen. I feel like I am in love with her all over again, and it's just great to see them side by side.